Thanks for joining us today. I'm Tracy Oppenheimer, the Senior Content Producer here at Helpshift, and I just wanted to start by going through our agenda for today. So I'll first tell you a little bit about Helpshift and why we're doing this webinar. Then we'll move into how customer service has evolved with artificial intelligence and give you some strategic insights for how to use AI to your advantage. So that's both for your day-to-day tasks and also for your longer-term career development. And then we'll discuss how to get started with AI tools that are available on the market right now, and also what will be emerging soon. And at the end of the webinar, I'll bring in one of our customer success experts to help answer any questions. So feel free to submit questions as you think of them in the Q&A section. So on paper, Helpshift is a digital customer service platform. We've lived and breathed customer service since our founding in 2012 and have a lot of both qualitative and quantitative research that we've collected during our time, especially in gaming. So we have some of the biggest names in mobile gaming using our platform, and these gaming companies have millions of users, and usually they have pretty lean support teams to go along with them. So they've really had to focus on maximizing their team's time, which also really lends to a strong use case for incorporating AI. So we've taken what we've learned from gaming and have brought that scalability to other enterprises across the board. And it's that scalability and efficiency that we really help out with and why we consider ourselves leaders in the space. And just a little bit about our product. So we support omni-channel messaging, that's in-app support, web support, email, etc., for thousands of companies around the world like Microsoft and Zynga, in addition to having some really innovative self-service options, including chatbots. We also have some advanced workflow management and workforce optimization tools, and also pretty advanced artificial intelligence that we're working on developing in-house, and then continually building that into the background of all these different features. What I really want to convey today, though, is that we aren't just a tool, but a partner in all things customer service. So we're very cognizant of ever-evolving customer service trends and are constantly working to evolve our technology to stay at the forefront of these trends. Today, that means responsibly and efficiently using AI and automation. So while our technology has evolved drastically over the years, our focus on customer relationships has consistently been at our core. And that's really why we've put together this webinar to help you excel as a customer service leader. So to start off, I want you to take stock of your customer service processes today. Do you already use automation? Where do you see opportunities for AI and automation? And what questions do you have about how AI will impact your service organization as a whole? So hopefully I'll be able to answer these throughout the webinar, and if not, please again write them in the Q&A box. Now, I've been immersed in this AI and automation world and corresponding optimism for a while now, and I wanted to share one of my favorite stories about automation. So I want you to think about elevators. They're really great, except in our office building where they break more often than not, but that's not the point. So elevators used to be manually operated. Someone's full-time job was to take guests from floor to floor. And initially, the idea of automatic elevators was terrifying. People didn't want to trust the machine. So buildings still had operators who had very little control, but were there mostly for peace of mind until people got used to the automatically run elevators. And today, obviously, we rarely see these operators anymore. And the same thing is happening with self-driving cars right now and a lot of other industries. You know, especially in San Francisco, we'll see these self-driving cars who still have drivers, even though the drivers aren't really doing anything, just for that peace of mind. And anytime we see these new technologies becoming automated, we worry about A, safety, and B, jobs. Now, luckily in customer service, we don't have to worry too much about the former, being safety, but automation is inevitable. But it's also important to remember that it's not going to happen overnight. So that being said, jobs are still a big consideration when talking about automating customer service. And we're going to see what economists call labor switching. So this is when automation takes from one job area and gives to another. For instance, we're already seeing less of a need for offshore unskilled agents, while a greater need for more stateside higher skilled agents is emerging. Now, I'll go into the changing agent landscape a bit later, but what I want to focus on now is the customer service team leader and how AI is impacting that role specifically. So as AI takes over some of these more routine and mundane tasks, the team leader will have more time to focus on higher level strategy and refining processes. So this is a really big opportunity for leaders to both deepen their expertise and have a more engaged role, while also improving the work experience for their team and the front-end experience for the customer. So according to Gartner, 85% of customers will communicate with businesses to resolve their problems without ever talking to a person by 2020. Now, how will that be possible? Well, here's what automation is already taking over. So first up, there's triage. Supervisors really shouldn't have to manually assign tickets any longer because AI can route tickets to the right agent based on the agent's capacity, skill, urgency, and availability. Then, of course, there's ticket deflection. So Helpshift chatbots, for example, can suggest knowledge articles for customers to self-serve. And then with machine learning layered on top of that, these articles will be suggested with higher and higher levels of accuracy over time. So not only will the subject matter become more accurate, but it'll also become more nuanced. So for example, right now, chatbots can suggest full articles that will help the user self-serve, but the user still has to parse through the article, whereas in the future, the chatbot will be able to highlight a specific section that is the most relevant to make the process even more convenient for the user, and that's the ultimate goal. So next up, we have suggested agent responses. Now, this is for those tickets that still make it all the way to an agent. That same machine learning engine that's providing suggested answers to the customers can also provide suggested responses for the agent. So this makes the agent's job a lot more streamlined and can speed up interaction times a lot. And in this case, the agent can still provide that human touch while also retaining much of that high level of efficiency that you get with automation. Then there are real-time insights. So for example, with Helpshift's real-time operations, team leaders can manage their teams in real time because they have access to instant data on team capacity, agent performance, and ticket backlog. And this is really key for this role because it empowers these people with data that can streamline their operations on a whole new level. And you can see that with better metrics like improved resolution times and better CSAT scores. Now, these technologies will also improve the day-to-day for the whole team. So currently, 73% of agents find managing time and workload to be their biggest challenge. Think about that for a second. So also, time and workload management are both key issues that automation and AI are helping to solve. And therefore, these tools should also help make it easier to develop and retain high-performing teams because you're relieving some of these issues for the agent. Now, this brings us to the strategy section of how to excel as a team leader, and I think it would be really helpful to break this down to both short and long-term exercises. So right now, AI and chatbots are in their relative infancy compared to what they'll eventually be able to do once the technology gets better. And it will get better, but that means things will go wrong in the meantime, and processes won't be perfect. And that also means it will be up to the customer service leader to oversee these processes and refine them and fix them as needed. But there is massive investment in the AI sector right now. We're looking at an increase of investment of 10% per year through 2025 in the top export nations. So this technology should improve fairly quickly, and the role of monitoring the machine will likewise decrease as a result. And at this point, what will the role for the customer service leader look like? So one of the first responsibilities will be monitoring analytics and making data-driven improvements based on those analytics. So for example, the team manager or supervisor can take a look and see what needs to be improved in terms of how tickets are triaged or what articles are being suggested. So we'll need to take regular deep dives and see whether tickets are being routed in the most efficient way possible and ensure that they're only needing to go to one agent to be resolved, so minimizing transfers, which is really, really important. And keeping a close eye on capacity data is also an interesting use case. So some agents can handle more issues than others, depending on the type of issue. So being able to personalize the agent experience and setting up the automatic ticket assignment accordingly will be really important. By focusing on action driven by these key metrics, the manager can finesse the automatic processes so that both the customer and agent experience will be improved, and that's really key. So the next role is all about managing and onboarding high-touch teams. Now, I started to mention this earlier, but a key impact of automation in customer service is that as automation takes over the more routine tickets and tasks, agents will need to have a stronger educational and technical background because tickets that do make it all the way to a human agent will be more complex. So managing these highly educated and high-touch teams and then onboarding them will become a more involved process because you have to reach that higher level of expertise. Now, likewise, retaining that top talent will become increasingly important because more time and money will be invested into each agent. So this responsibility will fall to the team manager, who now should have that bandwidth to promote a positive work environment and seamless onboarding. And shameless plug, my last webinar was all about this topic of team empowerment, so if you're interested in that, we can send you the link after this webinar. Now, let's talk about knowledge base optimization. So this one's really huge. It's up to the team leader to ensure that the knowledge base is always up to date, easy to follow, and effective at promoting self-service. So regularly reviewing which articles are the most popular and helpful, and then constantly verifying their accuracy is hugely important. And it's also important here to keep an eye on the entire customer journey. So it's really up to the team leader to optimize the journey for how these automated technologies are guiding the customer and then constantly improving the journey to make a more seamless experience overall. Then we have tracking backlog and ticket distribution. So with real-time data, managers can see which agents are at capacity and how much backlog there is. So if there's a surge of issues, for example, in one area and agents need to be shuffled around to meet demand, this is something that will be left to the leader. And a good manager can check on agents and make sure that they're at that happy medium of not being overwhelmed with too many tickets or bored with not enough. And finally, there's communicating ROI. So as customer service increasingly becomes more and more of a competitive advantage for brands and a way for companies to set themselves apart, support teams will be more in the spotlight, and so will the importance of showing positive ROI. So leaders will really need to implement processes and analysis that show both cost savings and increased loyalty and lifetime value. So these are all really exciting opportunities, but they can also be a little daunting. And I like to think about this new role of the supervisor much like the new role of airline managers. So do you remember the time before self-check-in kiosks when you had to wait in a crazy line and each airline representative could only check in one person at a time? So that was not a great experience, but today representatives can help so many more people thanks to those self-check-in kiosks. So this actually allows 15 to 30% more customers to be helped in the same amount of time, and self-tagging actually increases time savings by more than 55% for the customer. So automation can really improve the experience for the customer while also elevating the role of the employee, and that's the bottom line. So what can you do now to start getting ahead and freeing up your time to focus on those higher level processes and strategy that we discussed? You can integrate chatbots into your support processes starting right now. So you can use these chatbots to automatically collect routine information about the issue and customer, and that will expedite resolution times. And then by collecting this information ahead of time, the agent will already be armed with the information that they need to best help the user once the conversation begins. And it's a better experience all around. You can also use chatbots to deflect tickets. And as I mentioned previously, ticket deflection will continue to be a priority, and using a chatbot to do so is a really good way to ease into the AI era. You can also start using AI to route tickets. So this requires a bit more prep. You'll need to put in some time cleaning up your ticket tags and identifying which are the most prevalent issues, and you need to do so with a pretty big data set. So that way, once you start leveraging machine learning more and more, you can start off with a higher level of accuracy. Basically, the more tickets you have in your data set, the less negative impact from outliers and incorrectly labeled tickets there will be because there's so much more accurate information to work off of. So right now, 94% of Americans dread contacting customer support. And a big reason for that is inefficient and broken processes that force customers to wait for a long time before being helped, or having to be transferred around multiple times. And this isn't anything new, but hopefully this is something that automation and AI can really tighten up and improve how customer service is viewed as a whole. Now, at the same time, public sentiment is such that 30% of consumers feel that AI is already improving their lives. And 44% think AI has potential but isn't yet living up to it. So the potential is there, consumers are ready for it, and now we just need to harness it. So just to sum up, I want to reiterate that these changes aren't going to happen overnight. It's going to be a very gradual process. Right now, there are just 1.75 robots for every 1,000 workers, and while many of these workers will be shifted due to automation, it's important to also focus on the opportunities for many of them as well. And these opportunities will come in the need of higher skilled workers that will have more fulfilling day-to-day careers, especially as automation takes over tasks that are manual today, like ticket triage. And leaders will be able to focus on onboarding, analytics, and excellent team management. So in order to start doing so now, they can work on implementing chatbots and AI-powered workflow management right into their support processes. I hope this provided you with some very tangible and actionable insights and a realistic but optimistic view of the future of AI in customer service. It's an exciting time with a lot of change, but we're here to help guide you through it.